I've been lying about my identity online for over 5 years. I've been lying about my identity for over 5 years, and it's gotten to the point where I'm being driven insane because of this. I'm a minor, and I'm friends with other minors, but I've lied about being 5 years older than I actually am. This persona of mine can drive, has a job that has nothing to do with the real me's interests at all, and looks nothing like me. I've sent them pictures of somewhat famous people and claimed that they were me. I am pretty sure they know it's not me in those photos, because I sent them pictures of different people each time, but I think they might have believed some of the descriptions I've given them. I've bonded with these online friends more than I have with people I know in real life. I've grown to love them, and I think they might feel the same with me. I want to stop lying. I love them so much, but it's likely going to crush them when I tell them the truth. One of my online friends has asked to meet when she visits my country, but I'm too much of a coward to actually tell her the truth. I don't know why little me had to go on and lie about everything. I can barely keep up with my own lies. I've lied about things I shouldn't have lied about. I don't know what to say or what to do anymore. I know I'm an asshole, but I need help. I still want to be friends with them. I know it's selfish. You want me to stop answering the phone? You got it. This happened when I was working at a cemetery. The managers were crazy micromanagers. When I first started as an admin receptionist, I would answer the door, we locked it for COVID reasons, answer the phones, and transfer to others. I would also help the family service advisors with their scheduling. They were always super busy attending to grieving families, and you never rush families, obviously, so they would often be quite swamped. We then had a team meeting where I was personally called out for not doing my job. I was doing the job of others. I shouldn't be answering the phone since the FSAs should be answering. We had caller ID, so we knew who was calling. And the FSAs should answer the door for their own appointments. The FSAs should schedule their own appointments, even if it meant they started falling behind on their paperwork and being late to funerals. So I did as was asked and stopped. I just sat there and got paid for doing nothing. I got called out again for not answering or scheduling. I showed them the meeting agenda they provided, outlining how I shouldn't be doing that anymore. Needless to say, I didn't last long there, in an effort to keep my sanity. Leaning into the no questions policy. I work at a retail store where each sale requires on average 10 minutes of paperwork. That's if you're fast and know what you're doing. 2 months into the job, the boss told us new hires to stop asking questions in front of the customers. We look like clowns and customers lose confidence. The only training they provided was asking questions. They'd stick you with a customer and make you guess how to process the paperwork. If you got stuck, you'd ask for help. They tell you what to click, but not why. Then they info dump all exceptions to the rule they just gave you. Asterisk, asterisk, malicious compliance. Stop asking questions, and I take my sweet-ass time, 30, 40 min twos, guessing my way through paperwork. I've undercharged customers. A customer actually walked out. Call me when you all actually have time for me because I can't be here all day. A customer decided not to buy. The senior employee was mad I didn't ask about shipping. Yes, we usually don't, but we sometimes make exceptions. Always ask questions. When I'm at the sales desk, instead of asking if we sell a product or accept an insurance, I just tell callers that we don't. This saves me from doing the work of looking them up. When I'm working the reception desk, I waste time looking up obscure insurance policies instead of just asking a senior employee. I'm not Latino, but I speak some Spanish. Now when Spanish speakers call, I only respond in English. Before I would speak Spanish and ask for help if I need it. Now because of the no questions policy, I don't even ask my coworkers if they are free to take a call. I feel bad for these people though, but not too bad. All they have to do is call back and hope I don't answer LOL. I'm casually having naughties with a manager. For the past few months, I've been hooking up with a manager at my job. Yes, she does have the power to fire me. Yes, it is against company policy. During a company happy hour, I was talking to her more than I usually do, and we have a lot in common. We are talking about relationship woes and just generally sharing horror stories. She then just casually mentions how it's hard for her to even find a hookup since she is trans. I was a bit shocked due to one. Her being management and not really expecting her really fraternized with me on this level, and two, I actually had no idea that she was trans to begin with. I convinced myself that she dropped that tidbit to test the waters, and it worked. I was curious, we spoke a bit more. I was into it, and we ended up back at my place. We have been hooking up sporadically ever since. She will tell me that she is putting an end to things and avoid me like the plague, to then turn around and sleep with me multiple days in a row. She also refuses to talk about work in a way that makes me feel like she is compartmentalizing. But to be fair to her, that isn't my business. About 2 weeks ago, she told me that we can no longer meet, which I saw coming, and I told her that I understood, wish for her the best, and hope to keep things professional between us. I've had zero luck since then with other women, just for her to call me at 1 a.m. on a Thursday, come over and sleep with me again. On one hand, I feel a bit pathetic constantly allowing her to walk in and out whenever she pleases, like I'm a doormat. On the other hand, she can directly fire me, and I won't lie. The naughties is really good. As for my career, I've already started looking for other jobs, which sucks, because I actually love my job. As for my dating life, I guess I'm interested in exploring some more and dating people who don't directly control my employment. Entitled Mom Wants to Eat Our Wedding Cake Top. We're coming up on our M28, F28, first wedding anniversary. It falls on a Monday this year. My mom approached me recently and told me that we could cut into our wedding cake top with the whole family the day before our anniversary, because she wants to be a part of our anniversary celebration, and the weekend is more convenient for everyone. I was planning to cut the cake with my wife only on our actual anniversary. The cake top is in my mom's freezer, as she has a full-size freezer in her garage, and we only have a small apartment-sized half freezer. Of course, I doubt the cake will be as good as the day we had it, but it's more so for the symbolism of our anniversary. For my parents' anniversaries, we've never been a part of it. They go on trips without us and have never asked us to join them, so I'm a bit frustrated at this double standard. My wife and I would not mind sharing the cake with them after our anniversary, but from talking with my mom, it sounds like she wants us to make it into a family thing. Is that even normal? My mom also caused a lot of unnecessary drama and stress surrounding our wedding last year, in that she wanted to forego hair and makeup my wife had arranged for, and we covered the cost of, and would laugh condescendingly at us when we would try to express our viewpoints on why these things were important to us. She also tried to invite a bunch of people, even though she was not paying for anything. So from that experience leading up to our wedding, I learned that she lacks respect for myself as an adult, my wife, and our marriage. My wife and I thought the best way to resolve this is to perform a cake heist, as I don't want to risk giving my mom a heads up and allowing something to happen. I'm not sure if she would eat it directly out of spite, but I also wouldn't put it past her. What is everyone's thoughts on a cake heist? Just going over there unannounced to secure the cake. We need to save hours. This was back about 8 years ago when I worked for the big green store in the UK. We were going through a belt-tightening period. Sales were down, no recruitment to replace leavers, i.e. circling the drain right before we parted ways with Schmalschmart ahem. I'd been sent on to nights to evaluate and fix them, came in for 10 p.m. for shift start, and immediately got collared by my line manager, who I had a mutual loathing going on with. He rants at me that I have asterisk to cut hours, pick a colleague, he doesn't care who, and send them home. I have a little think about it, and pull in my 3 little minions. I explain the demands, but I also tell them that I think this is massively unfair, expecting one person to lose an entire shift. So I said that we'd all go home 2 HRs early. That'd give them the saved 8 HRs. We'd still manage to get most tasks done, and who wouldn't be happy finishing early, right? So that's what we did. Next evening, store manager pulls me in, asks me, WTF happened? Morning crew turned up, and we were all gone, and had to pull the AM delivery into the chiller by themselves. So I told him my reasoning. Turns out that the night team wasn't meant to be part of where the hours were cut. Seems Mr. Line Manager was trying to hit 2 birds with 1 stone, free up hours for his shift, and also get me in trouble for failing my tasks. What actually happened was that my minions pulled together in solidarity, we nailed our shit, and by all being gone the following morning, we drew full attention to the shenanigans. We got apologies and he got in trouble, got in. I had a happy ending and it went south. I was cutting carbs, calories to lose weight. Apparently that made my libido testosterone low. So I had trouble erecting when the deed was being done. And it finished off under 5 mins with me dripping out while soft. I never felt so embarrassed before. Looks like I need to start eating carbs and fill my calories. No wonder I couldn't sleep at all. Kept waking at 2 a.m. ChatGPT told me it's due to low blood sugar due to me not eating enough. And when the body senses low calories, it thinks I am starving, so it shuts down reproduction. Revenge 1. The drinks are on me. Or are they? This sub got me thinking about some of the delicious petty revenges I've executed over my life. Some opportunistic, some planned, but all worthy of sharing, which I'll be doing over the coming weeks. Here's your starter. Busy student nightclub in a UK northern town circa 2010. I'd bought my first drink, a cheap double N mixer, when a girl next to me at the bar accidentally knocked it over, soaking my front. She apologized and kindly offered to replace it, so I stood talking to my mate while she waited to be served. After a while, I noticed someone walking away from the bar with 2 thin black straps covering an otherwise bare back, and realized it was her walking off with her drinks. I asked where my drink was. People don't always do what they say they're going to. Let that be a lesson. Fuming was an understatement, but I didn't want to kick off and ruin a good night cause of some cocky bitch. Hours later, the punters were thinning out, and as I was getting ready to leave, I noticed 2 familiar thin black straps on an otherwise bare back, with the wearer pressing someone against the wall, ferociously snogging. Fueled by quite a few cheap doubles and realizing this was the perfect opportunity, I quickly amalgamated a pint of leftover drinks. She threw her head back and let out a blood-curdling screech as I seamlessly walked past, tipped the lot down her bare back without stopping, and made my exit. And on that night, my lovely's balance was restored. IP for free. Not a native speaker. Many moons ago, I was a developer working in my first job, in a small software company. I had a 1-year contract and was developing an administrative system to process equipment tests and test results. I wrote it for the software company I worked for, who developed it bespoke for a customer. It was a long time ago, and almost all software was custom-made at that time. The customer was nice and had a good IT officer on site that could also develop, but had no time to do so, and certainly not from scratch. When the end of my contract was coming near and the software was running, I tried to negotiate new terms, but without an interesting offer. The job market was not good at that time. Living was cheap in that area, and I guess they just assumed I would stay. I found, however, something else as I was young and did not really care about anything else than cool assignments with new technology. So at the last day, I shook hands and wished them the best. That did not fall well. They wanted me to stay, demanded me to stay, but under local law, walking in the next day meant accepting a contract with all attached obligations like a non-competition agreement, 8 weeks' notice, etc., etc. I walked out, and a week later I got a threatening letter from their lawyer about abandoning post, misleading them, caused financial losses. Whilst I assumed they had little on me, even a little problem is a big one if you do not have money and quick access to legal support. They wanted me to fix issues on the bespoke system as the customer made some tickets that no one could resolve, but I already started a new job. I did not have the source code anymore. No libraries, etc. **Q, MC****. I found a lawyer who basically said, "Go and do it, commit to nothing, and this way you showed your goodwill. That is enough in this jurisdiction." I went to the software company to get the sources and libraries that I needed to work on the software. I informed them that I would go to the customer site to use as I needed their hardware and installation to see their issues on-prem and fix them right there, so the customer could sign off and provide absolution. The software company agreed and was probably proud of pressuring me into working for them for free as a punishment for my betrayal. I went to the customer site, sat with the IT officer in order to set up a dev and test environment, copied the source code, libraries, documentation, and digged into my code. At the end of the day, the issue list was addressed. Before closing down, I explained that I needed to delete the source code when ready, but that I was hungry and wanted to grab a bite, and that they should continue testing, just to be sure. When I came back, the tests were successful. I deleted all source code, etc., made pictures of what I did, and emailed the report. In parallel, the IT officer was labeling a portable drive, and I saw a finished backup job on his monitor. The customer never made a ticket anymore and did not extend their maintenance and support contract. Edit for clarity, my bad, D. I made over 20 companies mail my friend copies of the U.S. Constitution. Now, the title may have you questioning why I mailed my friend 20 copies of the U.S. Constitution, and the answer is simple: there is no great reason. I'll preface this by saying I am no longer friends with this person. We do not even talk. I never felt this story got the laughs it deserved while we were friends, so I bring it here to hopefully get a couple. This story takes place my freshman year of college, or university, what have you. Me and this friend were close all throughout grade school. When it came time for college, we went to two different ones hundreds of miles apart. Our friendship hadn't really faltered, and we were still really close. We talked every day, and though I had made friends at college, I still considered this friend from grade school one of my closest ones. Come spring semester, me and this friend got into an argument. I remember it very vaguely. It's been years. Concerts, travel plans, something in between. We ignored each other for days until we finally began talking again. But in all honesty, I was still upset. And I was more upset that she couldn't tell how upset I was since I wasn't there. On my desk one night while we were talking, sat a pocket constitution that I had gotten in class. It was upside down and had an order more plastered on the back. I looked up the website and, surprisingly, it was free. I put in a burner email, her address, and her name, and bam, Constitution. But it didn't end there. I began scraping the web to find more websites that mail pocket constitutions, keeping democracy alive, one pocket constitution at a time. I found between 10, 20 websites that mail pocket constitutions. She received them all. However, months went by, and she never mentioned why strange constitutions kept arriving at her door. Eventually, I asked her about it. Lied, stating I received one, found it odd. She said she got a bunch, just never questioned it, thought it was cool. I guess it was a waste of time, but it kept me busy and relieved my anger, so... Win-win? ETA. For all who are saying this isn't petty nor revenge. I did start this by saying there was no great reason for my actions. I really just wanted to tell this story. I did try to find a dump prank subreddit, but could only find one with videos uploaded, so this was the closest subreddit I found to do so. Sorry to disappoint. Also, I am not AI. Is that a compliment? Grandmother and mom kicked me out, then asked me to help them move. So I got into a bad situation and needed to move in with my grandmother and mom. Well, they kicked me out for not always telling them where I am and what I'm doing at all times of the day. Well, I'm 30. I shouldn't have to tell them what I'm doing every minute of the day. I have a life and they don't need to know what I do with it. It's not like I do drugs or crimes. I'm just hanging with people or work. Also, they got mad if I went out then work. Well, I started talking about moving out, so they told me I had 1 week to find a place. Well, I found one. I bet they didn't think I could do it. So what do they message me up with? When are you coming over to help us move, like nothing ever happened to help you move? Who do they think they are? Not sorry. Or how's it going? It's when are you helping us move? So I didn't answer. They messaged me. Don't bother coming to dinner. Well, I had no intention of coming anyways. Now they are messaging me all squirming even though they already hired a moving company that also packs. And I asked them, does it make it cheaper if you pack stuff yourself? Nope, it doesn't. So why do they need help moving is beyond me. It's not like it will be any cheaper if I do. So I don't know why they would force me to pack everything. Maybe they are trying to push me off. An update regarding my parents, and a question I have to maybe bring this to light. https://www.reddit.com/r/entitled parents/comment/1ku9r4e/mya_dad_flu_off_the_handle_after_I_accidentally/ https://www.reddit.com/r/entitled parents/comment/1q9r4e/my_the_I_accidentally/. Above is the post where I talked about a confrontation between me and my dad. My dad hasn't apologized to me yet, but he has cooled off. I just now got a job that should be able to get me to live on my own away from him and mom. And in case you were worried about my safety, I am stronger than my father, and the next time he pulls something like that, I will stand up for myself. I am in the process of finding an apartment and a roommate. I had an idea previously to bring this incident to the public, and that would be once moving out to record him over the phone talking about it, and other times he screamed at me, then releasing it online. Is there a better way to bring this to the public view? Dream come true. I admire this vlogger guy. I'm not going to share more details about him for privacy. Every time he made posts and reels, I'd make sure to comment or put heart or smile emojis. I really have a huge crush on him, and of course I am hoping he'd notice me. One day I was so shocked that after sending an emoji, he messaged me, said hi and asked how my day was. He'd do this every time I send an emoji to his posts. Then this turned into an everyday thing. Hi and hellos day and night. Then one night he asked if he could call. Of course I said yes. When I saw him, he was in bed and oh my, he was so sexy. No shirt on and just a blanket. He started to flirt and of course I obliged. We were actually having naughties online. It was so sexy and gifted. Though we were on different time zones, we'd do this day and night. I'm like a teenage girl who got noticed by her crush. Now he knows I've got a big crush on him. By long shot, I know we're never gonna meet. But I'm just enjoying us, as long as he still notices me. Let son play with my 200 euros Lego set after being told not to. So I'm a big Lego collector, and a year ago for my birthday, I received a retired Indominus Rex breakout set, which was my dream since I first saw it. I built it at my grandmother's house since my grandfather passed away at that time, so I wanted to stay with her while I built it. So, fast forwards to some months ago, a relative of my grandmother went to visit her and decided to bring her 10-year-old son with her. After some chatting, she asks my grandmother if her son could play with it, which the response from my grandmother was no, since I told her, when I built it, that no one was allowed to touch it if it wasn't for moving stuff, since that Lego is expensive and means a lot to me. So decides to let her son play with it. My grandmother tries to stop her, but it's already too late. An hour after, when my father was picking me up from martial arts, he told me that the kid, while playing with the Lego, accidentally destroyed many parts of it. And when I arrived there, I saw my grandmother trying to fix the Lego and many pieces on the ground or scattered across the room. After I had to rebuild it, we tried to confront the and she passed it off like it was nothing and told us that if there's a toy, her son should be able to play with it. She never apologized either. To this day, I'm still not sure if there are missing parts around the house. I'm too weak to go no contact with my shitty mother who thinks everything I have built with my husband should be used to help her out. My 40F mother, 61F, has just texted me asking for money for the 4th time in 2 weeks. About 30 minutes after the first text, and no reply from me, she texted, "I don't plan on responding tonight, but now I'm so stressed about it I won't be able to sleep." We had a huge fight back in April where I kicked her out of my house, and I promised myself I was going to delete her number and go no contact. Well, I couldn't bring myself to do it. People don't tell you how hard it is to actually go no contact with your own mother, no matter how shitty they are or how many times they've hurt you. I could seriously write a book about how awful she is, but I'll just give a few snippets. 1. She didn't raise my sister or me. My grandparents on my dad's side did. Dad spent a lot of my childhood in jail. 2. She is insanely lazy, has had probably well over 100 jobs from which she either quits or gets fired, and is terrible with money when she does actually have some. She assumes someone, that is my sister or me, will always bail her out because that's what family does. 3. Stole over $10,000 in cash, over $20,000 if you count gambling losses, from Carnival at the casino, and then came back from the cruise and immediately filed bankruptcy. 4. Went on a Mediterranean cruise, different from the one above, then messaged both my sister and me from the airport asking for money for an Uber because she had none left. 5. When I had my son, she came to help when he was a newborn. He had colic and basically cried all day and never slept. I woke her up about 7 a.m. asking for help because I hadn't slept all night, and she cussed at me, told me it was too early and that she was on vacation. 6. When she visits us, she stays in the basement 95% of the time, doesn't eat with us, will literally make a plate of food I cooked, and then walk past us eating at the table to go eat in the basement. Spends maybe 10 minutes a day with the kids, and never helps cook or clean. We're basically a free place to stay with a built-in chef and maid. Since I kicked her out of my house back in April, she has been homeless and living in her car. She did recently start a job a few weeks ago. She actually doesn't even have a phone right now. Texted earlier from a friend's phone. Because she told me she's broken 4 phones in the past month by hitting them or throwing them in anger. She wouldn't know responsibility if it got up and smacked her in the face. So, how do you actually go no contact? How do you get past the guilt? I have a lot of anxiety, medicated, and I'm a type A personality with way too much emotion. But I'm really fucking tired of being the parent in our relationship. My mother forces bra on me. My F, 32, mother, F, 55, wants me to wear bra while her religious friends spend 2 days in their home. I came to stay at their place for vacation. I refuse to wear it, and I don't understand why should I. It has been 10 years since I stopped, and for 10 years she keeps trying that. She asked me to make concessions, to what I have replied that she also can. I am not up for covering it somehow. I am honestly annoyed that she even lets herself to comment on what and how I wear. I am sure she will continue to pressure me during a week or make a big scandal out of that. I am thinking to leave for these 2 days if she puts her friends above me, and it bothers her so much. I am out of options how to tell her to mind her own business without provoking a scandal. Advice? Can't drink water in plain sight with a 110-degree heat index. This current heat wave reminds me of when I worked security at Fort Lee, Virginia. We were in the middle of a heat wave. A LT told us we could not drink water in plain sight. We could drink in the guardhouse or a side building, not in the open when checking ID cards. My shift started at 12:45. After about 30 minutes into the shift, a vehicle with 4 colonels inside came into my lane. I collect all the IDs and walk to the guardhouse. I proceed to take a good drink from my Camelback. I walk back to the vehicle. The colonel that was driving asked what was that all about. I inform him that my LT says we can't drink water in plain sight, while the heat index is 110 degrees. I also tell him that I kept the IDs so he wouldn't run the gate. About 20 minutes later, that same LT drove to all the gates, saying we can now drink water in plain sight. Spam call fun. Used to get spam calls for a lady named Virginia. Every day it was call after call after call for car insurance, life insurance, etc., etc., etc. Would get incredibly annoying. Did everything from talking nasty to them, banging pots or pans on the phone when it's on speaker, even farting down the phone at them. Got a call one day asking to speak with Virginia. It went, "Let this, good morning, may I speak with Virginia, please?" Me. "I'm so sorry, but Virginia passed away last week." "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." "Oh, don't be. She was a total bitch. We're glad she's unalived." At this point, you could hear the thoughts ticking over in her brain. She replied, "Again, I'm really sorry. No need to apologize. She truly was an evil bitch. In fact, we're throwing her a glad she's unalived party. And BBQ this weekend, would you like to come?" She kinda gasped a little bit and then hung up. Road rage revenge. Today I was on the highway heading out to our summer place. 2-lane highway at 9 a.m. minimal traffic. We are all good. As I'm passing a rig on the highway, some idiot starts riding my bumper, like almost in my back seat. I can see him flailing his arms and yelling. My cruise control is set at 120 km/h, so not like I'm going slow. As he was passing the rig, he makes a dangerous swerve right in front of the truck passes me on the inside lane, gives me the middle finger and starts brake checking me being a total ass. But the idiot has his company's name and phone number in huge letters across his rear window. At this point, I'm pissed off, and I can be a petty asshole. so I called the number hoping I would get the guy driving the car. A man answered, and I asked if it was him driving like a maniac on the highway. He said no, he was in town. I told him what the clown with his company name was doing on the highway, and the gentleman thanked me and said he'd deal with it. Because the arsehole is still ahead of me, I see him answer his phone followed by a lot of hand-waving. He then pulled into right lane and slowed right down. As I passed him, I was laughing my ass off because it looked like the boss was tearing a strip off him. Let that be a lesson to everyone. I may look old, but I don't mind taking the time to ruin someone's day. Rant complete. Thanks for listening. Just scrub harder. This happened years ago when I worked as dishwasher semi-janitor for a bakery. Essentially, my job description was just to clean. One day, someone spilled raspberry filling all over the wall underneath the hand-washing station. My boss asked me to scrape off the excess and sanitize, so I did that. Unfortunately, the stain was left, because raspberry filling is actually radioactive or something. She asked about the stain. I then explained to her that I could tell the filling had stained the paint, and if I scrubbed any harder, I would scrub the paint off the wall, and the wall was likely stained underneath as well. She told me to scrub harder, so I did. I scrubbed to my heart's content until the paint came off. Then I scrubbed the wall underneath for good measure. Again, raspberry filling is like nothing else. These fillings stained everything immediately. When she looked back at the area, she complained about the paint being ruined and told me I had scrubbed too hard. Fuck you, Laura. 30 minutes or 2+ hours, your call. Context. I'm a paramedic that works semi-rural, 1-hour drive to hospital. We work 12-hour shifts from 6-6. Commonly, we would arrive at 5:30 so the off-coming crew could go home earlier after handover of equipment. Anyway, the 5:30 arrival time was a gentleman's agreement so that the off-coming crew wouldn't have to attend a call-out that would put them over their finish time and potentially breach their 14 hours maximum working time. Local driving laws can't be working for more than 14 hours if your job involves driving. At 14 hours, you must stop driving no matter where you are unless you have a critical patient. Occasionally, a job would come in during that 5:30-6 period which the new shift would take, and then claim the early start as overtime. Standard practice here, normally never a problem. One day, the manager sends out an email stating that no staff should be turning up early and starting work before 6 because it was costing too much in overtime. So that's what we all did. Every single crew, which was 30+ staff. At the peak of winter, which is usually one of the busiest times of the year. It sucked finishing late a fair bit, but making the boss pay us 2+ hours of overtime and giving them the headache of driving us back to station once we breached 14 hours instead of paying for 30 minutes was great. After 2 months of hemorrhaging money in overtime payments, we get another email. You can now go back to the 5:30 arrangement. I've been petty since I was in elementary school. I'm Gen X, and I thought it was silly to classify these generational groups, because I know some diabolical Gen Z and I love them for that. However, this involves my father. Back in the day, getting corporal punishment was a spanking from your father with a thick leather belt. My dad was a vet from Vietnam and a narcissist, a combination that wasn't ideal for a parent. I think I was in first grade, so 6 or 7 maybe I was in a higher grade, but still young. My little brother, the golden child, could never get in trouble no matter how much I tried. I was no saint. He was a dick, so no regret. We rode bikes everywhere and all the time, from sun up to sun down, always looking for strangers giving free candy from their generic white van. My bike was laying in the front yard, partly in the driveway, because that's where I dropped it when I ran in the house to watch Gilligan's Island, and probably the Three Stooges. So my pettiness is this. My father comes home from work and runs over my bike, comes in yelling and ready to give me a whooping. I was about to give in when I saw that he brought home a coworker. That's when I had the greatest of ideas. I started to cry, really wailed, and was yelling in between my sobs, "Please, Daddy, don't beat me again." Then I tried to hide behind a chair near his coworker. To really sell my performance, and that's what it was, a preference, I started to pee all in my pants. My father's face went white, like he might lose his job if this guy starts to talk back at work. My dad changed gears and went into protective mode, not mine, but his own, saying for whoever would listen that I don't beat you. The guy had to leave right after my Oscar preference. My father just looked at me and asked why I did that. I said I didn't want a spanking. He did not spank me. A beating is more like it. I'm kidding, he apparently respected my ingenuity or guile. I'm sure CPS was a thing back then, but nothing ever came of it. My next bike was a real POS, though. I swear this is the gospel, not even a little embellishment. Entitled mom tried to reserve the baby name I've had picked since I was 12. I, 28F, am 8 months pregnant with my first child. Ever since I was a kid, I've loved the name Eliana. It's unique, feminine, and just always felt special to me. My friends and family have known this forever, even jokingly calling dibs on middle names when I was still in high school. Fast forward, my cousin, 29F, is also pregnant by surprise, and recently announced she's having a girl too. At the baby shower last week, I mentioned that we've officially chosen Eliana as the name. She froze. In front of everyone, she goes, no, that's the name I'm using. I already told my mom and everyone at work. You can't use it. I said, I've had this name picked out since before you even graduated high school. You literally made fun of it in the past. She says, doesn't matter. I'm the first to say it now while we're both pregnant. It's mine. My aunt, her mom, then backed her up, saying, just let her have this. You can always pick another name. No, I'm not picking another name for the baby I've waited years for just because my cousin impulsively called dibs. Entitlement level. Naming rights thief. I told her she can use it too if she wants, but I'm not changing. If we both end up with daughters named Eliana, that's her hill to die on. Holy revenge. Number 5 here. https://www.askamaanager.org/2021/08/the-confetti-the-playwright-and-other-stories-of-work.html reminded me of this story. I worked at a place with Miss Wright, first name always. Although she was a co-worker, not our supervisor, she knew the correct and only way to do things. Everything. This made her a popular item of discussion, but not popular among us. We tolerated her as best we could, but enjoyed giving her subtle tweaks. She was an orderly individual, very neat, and everything had to be just right. It wasn't, oh, she has OCD, humor her. More like, the stapler goes here, and only here. Oh, your stapler is wrong. Let me fix that for you. So, of course, the first person in the office in the morning might accidentally switch 2 books on her shelf, or stack her inbox underneath the outbox. If she asked about it, someone would suggest that perhaps the cleaning crew moved it, or that she was mistaken. This was decades ago. We had desks, not cubicles. Our desks had phones, and paper was the primary storage and communication media. Our office had copiers and printers and scanners, none of that newfangled multifunction stuff. The other department in our building published and managed technical documents the size of phone books. Wow, I am out of date. Imagine 500, 1,500-page manuals. They had printers the size of small cars to produce these manuals. The repo room included several triple drill press machines for cutting holes in the manuals so they could be put in binders. One time, Miss Wright decided to rearrange a coworker's desk. Nothing really bad, since everything was in folders or organizers, but still weird. That was the straw that broke that camel's back. Much later, the coworker got his revenge. He went to the repo room and came back with a coffee cup full of the holes punched from the manuals. He covered an 11 inches x 17 inches piece of paper with a layer of the holes, removed Miss Wright's center desk drawer, and taped one edge of the paper to the drawer, then carefully replaced it. Sometime later, Miss Wright sat down, opened her drawer, and dumped generous portion of holes all over her lap. When she noticed, she stood up, spreading the holes even more. Here is the coworker's true genius. For months afterwards, every few days, he'd sprinkle a few holes around her desk when she was away from it. She went nuts trying to figure out where they were coming from, taking out the drawers, looking underneath it, shuffling through the books on her shelf. Ignore me at your super fancy upscale bar? Fine, I'll bring my kid. For context, I'm American and this happened in Germany a few days ago. Might have been some cultural thing, but anyway. I finally had some time to myself. Husband was watching kid, 10. I went down to the hotel bar by myself for a couple drinks. Very high-end, the bartenders were wearing suits and such. I got one drink, then could not get anyone's attention, even to pay the bill and leave. It was not at all crowded. I don't speak much German, but they all seem to not have a problem understanding everything. So I text husband, meet me here with child. She's not even very disruptive, just wanted all the bar snacks, pretzels, etc. They finally asked if I needed anything, so I ordered one more drink and the bill. So 3 bartenders ignored me when only 2 other people were sitting at the bar. Not a big deal, but it pissed me off so bad. I actually felt invisible. I was such a fucked up child. Do I even deserve to heal? TW, essay, grooming, rewritten. Yes, I've posted this story before, but felt I've left out some decently important details, so I've added them in this version. Sorry. Hey there. 20M throwaway account. I've been reflecting on myself as of late. The realization? I fucking suck. I say this as if I haven't already known this for a long time. For a ton of reasons. But the things I've been fixating on lately are the fucked up naughties things I did when I was younger. First, I should supply a bit of context. I was exposed to pornography when I was younger. I lump legitimate porn, anime, hentai, and certain erotic YouTube videos into this group. And it absolutely fucking destroyed my perception of naughties. Every fetish I have currently, I discovered before the age of 10. Damned inflation fetish. I'm currently only diagnosed with ADHD, though I suspect that I also have OCD, and had behavioral issues growing up. I would often act out at home and at school, and had a personal aide follow me around to keep me in line until I went into high school. Not to mention, I wasn't really parented much growing up. Things like that happen when your dad is a drug addict. I was pretty much just left alone to watch TV and play video games all the time. I was also often left with my grandma while the rest of the family went out and had fun. I was never really taught about consent or boundaries or what was right or wrong. I've largely had to teach myself over the years. Keep in mind, I'm not using these issues as an excuse for anything I've done. I like to think of it as an explanation. With that context in mind, here are my naughties confessions. Underscore 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 underscore. When I was 11, I used to peep on my sister while she was showering. Same with my brother's girlfriend at the time. When I was 11, I touched one of my friends while they were sleeping. They were about 10 at the time. I was simply poking at their chest. This happened one time. When I was 12, I touched my brother in his sleep as well. I remember putting his genitals in my mouth for a second. He woke up, and I remember my family being mad. I wasn't punished, and I have no idea if my family remembers. I also have an incredibly cloudy memory of almost touching a baby when I was 12. I truly do not believe I actually did this, and it's just my mind spinning a memory to make it seem like I was going to do it. But it's such a prevalent thought in my mind that I figured I should mention it. At the time, I legitimately didn't understand how bad these things were. I knew I probably shouldn't be doing it, but I didn't understand that some people literally never heal from shit like this. It's not like I did these things because I'm evil or got off on the power trip. I truly believe I was just curious. I genuinely hate this past of mine. I've been deeply thinking about unaliving about this for a long time now, but it's gotten worse as of late. The other day I looked around for places I could potentially unalive myself at. Underscore, 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 underscore. Underscore 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 underscore. At the ages of 12, 15, I had an addiction to sexting. A big addiction. I discovered Omegle alongside my brother at like 10, and eventually, I realized the creepy side of the internet. I willingly sent pictures of myself to older men and women. I would also do this with similarly aged people, if I ever managed to find them. Most of these people were probably adults. I did this so much that I have no idea how many people I associated with. I have a very specific memory of this older person complimenting me on my size at the time, and how I'd get bigger as I got older. I got hooked on this feeling of acceptance, I guess? Like, I sucked ass with girls IRL, so this was something I was craving. Thing is, not only was I not aware of the risks involved, I literally didn't know it was a crime. 3 years, had no clue. Once I realized, I never did it again. I've actually developed a phobia of my face being on the internet since then. For what it's worth, I never harassed anybody for their pictures. Maybe asked one or two too many times, but that's about it. I never threatened anybody like I hear in the horror stories. And I never shared them around with people. Never understood why people do that. Unfortunately, I wasn't incredibly nice to the people I met online through this. I'd often form close relationships simply because it made the experience better, and would eventually ghost everyone I met this way. 5 years have passed since then, and I'm paranoid and anxious every day that the cops are going to bust down my door and jail me. This paranoia has honestly ruined my life, and I deserve it. Underscore, 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 underscore. I feel so much guilt over the things I did. Seriously, I know my text style is very flat, but I've been stressing myself out to no end in terms of both the moral and legal consequences of what I've done. I feel as though everybody, everywhere, would fucking hate me for what I did. And that's okay. I'm not owed anybody's forgiveness. You don't violate someone's trust and then beg for them to like you. But what scares the hell out of me is what my current best friend would think. Literally the only person I care about anymore. I'd be a liar if I said she wasn't one of my only reasons that I'm still alive. This woman thinks I'm the greatest person ever. She wants me to come live with her and everything. We talk on the phone almost 24/7. What's fucked up is that I really don't deserve her. I've been such a shit friend to her because of my past. I've told her so many times how shitty I am, how she needs to find someone better to associate with, and she keeps refusing. She tells me her life would be empty without me. Underscore. Underscore 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 underscore. Thank you all for reading to the end of this. Even if you didn't, and just kinda scrolled through it, I appreciate it. This has all been the ramblings of an unemployed man with a fucked up sleep schedule who hasn't been eating due to stress. I would like to say, for the victims of Naughty's assault abuse that are reading this, I'm incredibly sorry for what you went through. Maybe it's insulting for me to apologize considering I'm the villain here, but I sincerely hope you all can find healing and live healthy lives. You're not gross or unworthy, like I see so many say. What happened to you isn't your fault. Also, feel free to ask whatever questions you want in the comments. This isn't exactly meant to be an AMA, but if anybody wants some extra details, I might be willing to give it. So, random people on the internet, do I deserve to heal from this? Do I deserve to rot in jail? Should I just unalive myself like I've wanted to? Rude BF that reads newspaper in my face. About 20 years ago, BF and I would sometimes enjoy eating breakfast at those restaurants where you can read the daily newspaper for free. It was good and cheap and perfect for the young couple we were. Thing is, BF liked reading the newspaper while eating, which I get. We didn't have a subscription at home, so it was a nice occasion for him. But sometimes he would also hold it up so I had it straight to my face, not just having it open beside his plate. Now I had told him multiple times I found that rude, but he did it anyway. So one time I had enough. His attention being taken by the newspaper and the newspaper over his plate providing the perfect cover, I made my way to his bacon. I ate one slice out of pettiness. He didn't even notice. I told him back in the car, and I told him I'll do it again if he continues being rude. From that day, he always read his journal only beside his plate. IDK if my mom is being weird or not. Hi peeps. This is my first time posting on here, so sorry if it sounds a bit crappy. Long story short, my mom buys me a lot of shorts considering it's boiling in Britain. Yeah, come at me with the bottle of water jokes. But one thing I've only just realized now is whenever I wear said shorts she bought me, if I'm doing literally anything in them, for example, bending over, lying down, sitting down, etc., she always says stuff along the lines of, "Your butt is poking out," or, "Those shorts look really weird on you." Mainly comments on my body or how the clothes look on me. She says it's inappropriate around boys. That slag still don't know I'm fruity. Does my mom just have a little habit of saying that, or is she just being weird? I took a gamble and made a bot spend $170 more on a Jeep Wrangler wagon than its original MSRP. I found a local online auction house for my area about a week ago, and it got me addicted. A few days ago, I came across this $600 Jeep Wrangler wagon to carry my kids around in. Bidding started at $5, so I bid it and waited. Over the next couple of days, the bidding kept going up, but I kept seeing this one user bid 75 cents over my bid the second I sent mine in. After the total came to about $90, the user was still ahead. I sat on it for a few hours, came back and saw that that user was still at the top. I really didn't wanna, but I tossed up $150 and saw that the next one was sitting at $150.75 right after me. I ended up bidding more and more until eventually it hit the last 5 minutes and I got it up to around $770 and the bot still had it at $770.75. The bot ended up winning the auction. Now IDK if that user is going to actually pick it up or not, because the auction site uses automatic payments with payments being final. On top of the auction price, there is a 20% fee of the total win price to include state tax. I'm glad I gambled, and it paid off because otherwise it would have been me who'd have to pay all that for the item, because after 20% auction fee and sales tax, it probably would have been closer to $1. K may not have gotten the wagon, but at least I was able to beat someone to spend more money on something IDK if this JS considered petty revenge, but it was pretty petty immo. Edit. The Jeep Wrangler wagon is literally a wagon for kids that you can pull or push. It's not an actual car, lol. Yes, sir. You're the lawyer, sir. This happened many years ago, but I was just reminded of it last night by a former coworker. I got my degree in business with a paralegal minor. Worked as a paralegal for a few years before moving to a new city. Upon arriving in new city, I found that legal secretaries got paid OT while paralegals didn't. And with very similar base salaries and similar work hours at the end of the day, the legal secretaries made more money. So I took a job as a legal secretary. I worked directly for 2 attorneys. One, L, had a couple years' experience, knew I had education and experience to be a paralegal, and utilized me as such. Other, B, was fresh out of law school and newly passed bar exam. He had a massive "I'm the lawyer" chip on his shoulder. One day named partner, NP, who was notorious for flying off the handle at mistakes, assigns B to prepare some legal documents. Instead of saying, "Hey, NP needs documents on this file to handle this issue," and having me do them, he takes the time to actually dictate the documents. As I'm working on them, I realize he's made a logistical mistake. He'd drafted the document in a way that would result in it not being legally enforceable. I go to his office and explain, "Hey, I was working on this and I noticed X and that's not how that works. You need to have it do Y instead or it won't be enforceable." He says, "I know what I'm doing and that's the way it needs to be done, so just do it as I dictated it." Yep, of course, absolutely. I did it his way. Reminded him when I handed it to him that we'd had prior conversation and that I'd completed the document exactly as he'd wanted it. He happily nods, and off he goes to NP to give him the finished work. Less than 30 minutes later, NP is in B's office door, throwing a hissy fit that document was prepared that way. "You can't do that! You've literally made this document worthless!" Blah, blah, blah. I sat out in my cube and hid behind a piece of paper while NP told B to prepare the document exactly how I'd told him it needed to be prepared. I wish I could say that going forward B listened to me when I raised concerns, but he only lasted a year, and in that time never lost the "I'm the lawyer you're not" attitude. Meanwhile, years after I left that job, joined corporate world and moved up in my career, I was still close with NP, who actually referred my company business, and I attended his funeral when he passed a few years ago. I cheated on my partner and I had the best naughties of my life. My partner, 22F, and I, 23F, are in a long-term relationship we have experienced being with other people together, and we weren't exclusive for the first year of the relationship, until I had naughties with a person without her, and she didn't feel okay about it, so we decided to close off the relationship. A year and a half later, a man from when I was single started texting me. I didn't know if it was friendly vibes or not, but I let it happen. Him and I never actually hooked up or went on a date. We decided to meet up for drinks, and he definitely thought is was a date. I let him know right away that I was in a relationship. He stopped being so flirty and vibes were okay, until we got drunk. We ended up going back to his apartment and we had the hottest, best naughties of my life. We couldn't stop. I never been satisfied by anyone like that, not even my partner. Even writing this and thinking about it makes my body shake. The next morning I knew it was wrong and I never talked to him again. It's been 7 months since. I want to tell my partner because I genuinely love her, and I feel guilty and I haven't done anything with anyone, and I'm not planning to, but having this secret turns me on to this day. You said to put your shit outside. You never said where. This happened about 10 years ago, but it still makes me laugh every time I think about it. I was in my early 20s, dating this guy who was ridiculously controlling and full of himself. Classic narcissist. Everything revolved around him, and in his mind he could do no wrong. You know the type. Anyway, after I caught him cheating, I finally hit my limit and told him I was done for good. The way I found out he was cheating was the best part. I'd had my suspicions for a while, so I went through his phone. Sure enough, there were months of messages between him and some girl he worked with. Flirty garbage, talking about how he couldn't wait to leave me. All that nonsense. But one text in particular had me rolling my eyes. He had sent her this the day before. "She's driving me crazy. She's got me through the roof. I need you so bad, babe." Got me through the roof? Pretty sure that's not how the expression goes. Your blood pressure can be through the roof. Your anxiety, your rage, sure. But unless you're Spider-Man or a haunted Victorian child, you are not through the damn roof. The next morning while he was at work, I texted him and said I was done. He kept pressing me to explain, but I never admitted I'd read his messages. I let him stew in his own arrogance until he finally realized I wasn't bluffing. By that point, he had pretty much moved into my house, so naturally, he wanted all his stuff back. He texted me something like, "You better have all my shit outside when I get there, and I mean every fucking bit of it. I'm not making 2 trips. Oh, don't worry, sweetheart. I gathered every last thing he had at my place, which included at least a third of his wardrobe, a pile of overpriced hats, 2 pairs of pristine Jordans, and an iPad. I stuffed everything, minus the iPad, into a trash bag, tied it loosely, walked outside, and launched it straight onto the roof. Some of his clothes flew out midair and scattered across the yard. Most of it landed on the roof and just chilled up there like it paid rent. As for the iPad, I put it in a box and set it near the edge of the driveway. Not long after, a couple of teenagers walked by and peeked inside. I was sitting on the porch when one of them asked, "Is this yours?" "Nope." "Can we have it?" "Sure, why not?" He said to put his stuff outside. He never said I had to guard it. About 2 hours later, he pulled up, saw his clothes strewn across the lawn and a trash bag dangling off the roof, and lost it. He started pounding on the door, furious, yelling, "Why the fuck are my clothes on the roof?" I swung the door open, looked him unalived in the eye, and said, "Well, judging by the texts you sent your little girlfriend, apparently I had you through the roof. I figured your clothes might as well join you. You told me to put your shit outside. You didn't say where." He stood there red-faced, fists clenched, seething. "And how the fuck am I supposed to get my shit off the roof?" I shrugged, smiled sweetly, and said, "Maybe your girlfriend can loan you a ladder," then slammed the door in his face. The funniest part is that he ended up making 2 trips after all. LOL. He did come back later with a ladder. Whether or not she loaned it to him, I couldn't say. I stayed inside with the door locked and haven't heard much from him since. ETA. The one and only time I talked to him after the breakup was the next day when he texted to ask if he could come get his iPad. I told him the truth, that I sat it outside like he asked me to. If it's not there, I guess someone stole it. Sorry. I don't think he believed me because he threatened to GPS track it. I told him to go ahead. Don't know if he was ever able to locate it or not because I blocked his number after that. Lol.